Welcome to Long Story Short. Today, we are dissecting Tennessee Williams's 1944 memory play, The Glass Menagerie, a work that stands as the absolute pinnacle of autobiographical American theater for its delicate and heartbreaking exploration of familial duty and the crushing weight of impossible expectations. Um, Imagine living in a cramped and suffocating apartment during the Great Depression with a mother who constantly talks about her glorious past as a Southern belle surrounded by wealthy suitors. You have a sister who is so crippled by severe social anxiety that she spends her entire life polishing tiny glass animals instead of living in the real world. You are the only source of income for the family, working a soul-crushing dead-end job at a shoe warehouse while desperately dreaming of running away to become a poet and a merchant sailor. That is the claustrophobic and deeply tragic reality for our narrator, Tom Wingfield. This play is not just a sad story about a broken family in St. Louis. It is a profound psychological study of escapism and the terrifying realization that leaving your physical home does not mean you will ever escape the ghosts of your past. Long story short, The Glass Menagerie is a searing examination of the illusions we build to survive and a brilliant testament to the idea that memory is the longest and most painful prison of all. Let us set the scene in St. Louis, Missouri in the late 1930s. The play is explicitly introduced by Tom, who tells the audience that because this is a memory play, it is completely subjective and dimly lighted and not realistically presented. Tom is a direct character, foil to the concept of the traditional providing father. His own father abandoned the family years ago, leaving only a smiling photograph on the living room wall. And Tom is constantly fighting the exact same massive urge to run away. He escapes his miserable reality by constantly going to the movies at night to watch other people live out adventures. Amanda Wingfield is the matriarch, and she is a direct foil to the harsh modern industrial world. She is completely trapped in the nostalgic fantasy of her youth in Blue Mountain, Mississippi, where she claims to have entertained exactly 17 gentlemen callers in a single Sunday afternoon. Clears throat, she projects all of her failed ambitions and deep financial anxieties onto her children, becoming incredibly overbearing and deeply manipulative under the guise of maternal love. The absolute fragile heart of the tragedy is Laura Wingfield. Laura wears a heavy brace on her leg due to a childhood bout of pleurosis, which a boy in high school misunderstood as blue roses. This slight physical defect has mutated into a massive psychological inferiority complex. She is so unimaginably fragile that she literally drops out of Rubicam's business college just because taking a speed typing test makes her physically throw up from pure panic. Instead, she spends her days listening to her father's old phonograph records and caring for her collection of tiny glass animals, completely isolating herself from reality. The plot accelerates when Amanda discovers the absolute truth about the business college. Realizing that Laura will never have a career to support herself, Amanda goes into an absolute panic about her daughter becoming a dependent old maid. She becomes completely obsessed with the idea of finding a husband to save Laura. She relentlessly pressures and guilts Tom to bring home a nice young man from the warehouse to act as a gentleman caller. Tom eventually invites Jim O'Connor to dinner. Jim is a direct character foil to Tom and the entire Wingfield family. Jim is grounded in absolute reality and believes completely in the American dream, taking evening classes in public speaking and radio engineering. He was a massive hero in high school, but now he is just an ordinary, pleasant guy who represents the normal functioning world that the Wingfields are entirely cut off from. If Tennessee Williams's lyrical and deeply emotional 1944 prose feels overwhelming, and you want to truly understand the core theme of the text, you can get the full audiobook entirely for free by starting an Audible trial with my link in the description below. Listening to the original text is the absolute best way to grasp the poetic value and the rhythmic dialogue of this play. Now let us examine the dinner party and the ultimate heartbreak. Amanda goes into an absolute frenzy of preparation, wearing a ridiculous and yellowed old cotillion dress from her youth and trying to magically transform their dingy apartment into a glamorous southern mansion. When Jim arrives, Laura is so terrified that she physically collapses and cannot even sit at the dinner table. The situation goes from bad to worse when the lights suddenly go out in the apartment. The power is cut because Tom used the electric bill money to secretly pay his union dues for the Merchant Marines, solidifying his plan to abandon the family. By candlelight, Jim and Laura are left alone in the living room. Jim is remarkably kind and actually manages to briefly draw Laura out of her paralyzing shell. They look at her absolute favorite glass animal, which is a tiny, delicate unicorn. Jim asks her to dance, and as they clumsily move around the room, they bump into the table and knock the unicorn to the floor, breaking off its horn. Surprisingly, Laura is not upset. She says that now the unicorn is just like all the other normal horses, proving that Jim's presence has momentarily cured her feeling of being an absolute freak. Jim then kisses Laura, giving her the first moment of genuine romantic hope in her entire life. But the hope is immediately and violently crushed. Jim nervously confesses that he is engaged to a girl named Betty and that he will not be calling again. He leaves the apartment, leaving the Wingfield women completely shattered. Amanda viciously blames Tom for playing a cruel joke on them, resulting in a massive final argument. Tom finally breaks and leaves the apartment for good, following directly in his father's footsteps. The play ends with Tom wandering the cities of the world years later, confessing that he is still constantly haunted by the memory of his sister. He begs her to blow out her candles so he can finally say goodbye to the past. If you want to absolutely dominate your AP literature exam, you need to weave these specific foundational symbols into your final essays. First, we have the Glass Menagerie itself. The collection of glass animals represents Laura's personality. It is incredibly beautiful and complex, but it is also completely fragile and outdated and entirely unfit for the rough reality of the modern world. It symbolizes the massive danger of hiding in an imaginary world because reality will inevitably break you. Second, you must discuss the glass unicorn. The unicorn is unique and mythical, just like Laura. When its horn breaks, it symbolizes Laura's brief and tragic transition into normalcy during her interaction with Jim. But when Jim leaves, she gives him the broken unicorn as a souvenir, symbolizing that her one chance at a normal life has been permanently given away to a man who did not want it. Finally, the symbol of the fire escape. This is the physical exit to the apartment, but it serves a very specific psychological purpose. For Tom, it is a literal escape route from his suffocating family and a place to smoke and dream of adventure. For Amanda and Laura, it is their only connection to the outside world, proving that their home is actually a burning building of desperation, that they are permanently trapped inside. If you have a paper or a test coming up, watching a summary gets you the plot, but reading Tennessee Williams's actual prose is where you master the material. You can grab the physical copy on Amazon or get the audiobook completely for free with the Audible trial using the links in the description below. That is the long story short. Please like and subscribe for more literature breakdowns. See you in the next one.